What if I told you that a book series based on brain behavior, mental disorders, and the legal system hit #1 in the United States and #2 in Australia under medical research? Well, it did, and it was my series. And guess what? Most people don't even know what forensic neuropsychopathology is. Well, today I'm going to show you the new book covers, I'm going to explain what each volume actually means, and I'm going to break down why this series is different from other forensic psychology books out there. These are the new covers for the Forensic Neuropsychopathology series, revealed after the series hit #1 in medical research in the US and #2 in Australia. That kind of ranking is telling us something important. People are paying attention to how the brain and mental health are reshaping the law, responsibility, and justice. Well, I'm glad you asked. In 2021, when I was working on my clinical dissertation in psychology, that's when the birth of forensic neuropsychopathology became a concept. And I think I had a narrow-minded vision of what I thought it would be. However, in 2023, when I completed a commentary in response to my dissertation and research work, I think I produced a better definition that I found to be all-encompassing. So let's turn to pages 176 and 177. Forensic neuropsychopathology is an interdisciplinary field that applies to the principles of neuropsychology to understanding and evaluating the intersection of neurological conditions, psychological functioning, and legal issues. It focuses on how changes within the brain affect cognitive performance and how mental disorders influence behavior with legal contexts such as criminal responsibility, competency to stand trial, and risk assessment. This field combines neuroscience, clinical neuropsychology, psychology, forensic psychology, and the law to address complex questions about cognitive performance and emotional functioning related to legal questions and decisions. Forensic neuropsychopathology asks questions like, how does brain function affect behavior? What happens when neuroscience enters the courtroom? And how should the legal system respond when biology matters? This isn't just psychology, and it's not just law. It's about measurement, brain functioning and cognitive performance, and legal decision-making. Well, I did. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Dr. Chouraeshkenazi. I'm a 2-time international best-selling author. I'm also a professor, researcher, scientist, and clinical neuropsychometrician. I wrote this series based on going all the way back to a master thesis in psychology, where I was studying psychopathology among military service members and veterans who served between 2005 and 2016 in operations enduring in Iraqi freedoms. That led to furthering my dissertation in clinical psychology, where I focused and birthed the concept forensic neuropsychopathology. This subdiscipline is very important because it understands more about the brain, behaviors, mental disorders, and how it impacts the legal system. This is not based on therapy models, and it's not pop neuroscience. So Volume 1 essentially lays the groundwork. It defines forensic neuropsychopathology, it explains its scientific and legal roots, and it also introduces how brain systems, pathology, and behavior are evaluated in legal contexts. At the end of the day, Volume 1 series answers the question, why should the legal system even care about the brain? Now look, Volume 2 gets intense. It particularly covers brain injury, cognitive dysfunction, psychopathy, sociopathy, trauma, and mental disorders, and how these conditions are linked to or even impact competency, accountability, and responsibility under the law. It's not about excusing behavior. It's about understanding capacity, impairment, and legal standards under neuropsychopathology. Now, Volume 3 essentially takes everything into the real world. It explains how neuropsychopathology is used and sometimes misused in courtrooms, expert testimony, ethics, and policy. Just because we can use brain science and law doesn't mean we always should, and this volume tackles that head on. Well, here's the big difference. Most forensic books teach how to practice. This series basically gives a guideline and explains how the field itself should be understood. It's multidisciplinary, science-driven, and it's focused on brain measurement, systems, and legal meaning, not just clinical procedure. The first one I would like to go over is Current Perspectives in Forensic Psychology and Criminal Behavior by Drs. Bartol and Bartol. Now, this book is a powerhouse. It covers criminal behavior, victimology, policing, legal psychology, and even corrections through a contemporary research perspective. I love this book. I had this book as a student when I was in college, and to compare, this book is essentially psychology focused with a broad forensic scope. However, with Forensic Psychology series, we focus on a deeper neuropsychological perspective based on measurement, law integration, and we also include a lot of test and assessment. There's a background in that, especially in volume 2. And the final book I would like to compare, it's almost like saving the best for last. Another creme de la creme is The Clinical Practice of Forensic Neuropsychology by Dr. Boone. Dr. Boone is a board-certified clinical neuropsychologist, and what I love about this book is she goes into detail about neuropsychological assessments. It's so important when it comes to forensic neuropsychopathology about neuropsychological testing and assessment. And she definitely understands the challenges when it comes to being able to administer tests and assessment, being able to obtain the results accurately, consistently, making sure the information is accurate, and being able to interpret those results and write them in a report for a lay person to understand, other mental health providers, or even legal teams when it comes to assessing brain behavior, its connection to the legal system, and its connection to other mental health disorders. She goes into detail about this book, and I use it as my go-to. When I used to do evaluations, I will always go to this book for guidance. And like I said, she focuses on neuropsychological assessments. She also focuses on interpretation of validity tests too. But when you're comparing to forensic neuropsychopathology, not only do we talk about tests and assessments, we also talk about the implicit connection between brain behavior, mental disorders, and how it impacts the courtroom. This body of work was made for everybody. Focusing on scholars and experts is important because as an emerging subdiscipline, I am no gatekeeper, and I'm not the end all. I don't have all the answers, and I'm certainly not the expert in every field, and that's why I would love for experts to read this book to tell me what works, what doesn't, what's wrong, what's right, what they would improve on, what I should include. Because I really want to ensure that anything that I put out to the world, that I am providing the most accurate and up-to-date information through scholarly and peer-reviewed research. That's most important. However, if you're just interested in mental health, particularly, the brain, science, the law, and even mental health disorders, this book is for you. This book has been written in a way that, anybody who's interested can read it. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out. But this book is also for college students. It's also for, researchers, scientists, even the layperson that just, is that book nerd that's interested in learning. This book is for you. As neuropsychopathology advances, the legal system is being forced to ask harder questions: responsibility, capacity, ethics, evidence. The Forensic Neuropsychopathology series doesn't just follow that conversation, it shapes it. I hope you found this video interesting. If you're interested in neuropsychopathology and how it's shaping justice, this is a conversation worth paying attention to. I hope you enjoyed once again, and if you would like more information about the Forensic Neuropsychopathology series, please contact me in the comments below, or you can go to my author website at www.moniquemchouraeshkenazi.com. Thank you for your time, and if you like these videos, please sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.